Now let's think back to that example of making loaves of bread. I'm going to do a limiting reagent problem with a chemical reaction, and it's going to be kind of the same. Now my pantry is going to be what I have in terms of chemical reagents. I have 9.0 moles of copper 2 chloride, and I have 8.0 moles of aluminum. And my question is, how many moles of copper can I make from those two reagents? So the process is the same. I'm going to calculate how much I can make from each one of those, and the one that gives me the least is going to be the limiting reagent, and that will limit what my total yield of copper can be. So if I have 9.0 moles of copper 2 chloride, I'm going to calculate using stoichiometric ratios to figure out how many moles of copper I can get out of that. And it's 3 moles of copper 2 chloride. I get that from my coefficient, makes 3 moles of copper solid. My 3's cancel, and it will give me 9.0 moles of copper. I'm going to do the same thing for aluminum. If I have 8.0 moles of aluminum, I'm going to use the stoichiometric ratio to calculate how much copper I can get out of it. And the relevant ratio is every 2 moles of aluminum that react, that comes from this coefficient here, I get 3 moles of copper. And that tells me I can get 12 moles of copper if all of my aluminum reacts. However, I can only get 9 moles of copper from 9 moles of copper 2 chloride. So in this example, copper 2 chloride is my limiting reagent, and I have an excess amount of aluminum. So my yield is going to be 9 moles of copper, and I can calculate the mass of that by converting from moles to mass, which we know how to do using molar mass. To calculate the mass of copper from this reaction between these two species, we'd take the number of moles of copper that will be formed, 9.0 moles of copper, and we're going to multiply it by the number of grams in each mole, the molar mass. So 1 mole of copper is 63.5 grams, and we get this from the periodic table. It's the molar mass. That calculates to 571.5 grams of copper. With significant figures, we can say 570 grams of copper.